Welcome.
That's not funny.
Oh, and the world's going crazy!
Stop, drop, and talk.
We've got no time for bullshit!
Stop, drop, and talk. With Ava, RJ, and B-Rock. It's Stop. Stop, drop, and talk.
I have nothing to say.
Welcome one and all, Stop and Talkers, and we're all here.
We are all here.
What's up, hey? What's up, guys? What's up, Eva, Steel, everybody?
Nothing. Excited to be back again for another week. I love this so much.
Here we are again.
Here we are. B-Rock, I got to see your shirt. This is the drill. This is what we do.
What's the shirt today? And he's frozen.
Oh, dear.
Oh, great. You know what?
Yeah, sure.
What do you
I got
think?
Baby Yoda. Mandalorian is coming on this week again, season 2.
Oh, very cool.
Never seen it in my life.
I think that's on Disney Plus, right?
I wouldn't know.
It is, yeah. Yep. Am I having some technical difficulties here, guys?
No.
Yeah,
You're
a little bit.
Is it getting better?
Fine.
No.
Just a little delay.
No. Okay.
You kind of.
How about I
like
come back?
Captain
How's
Kirk.
that sound?
That sounds great.
All right, thank you, everybody. B-Rock, everybody. Hello and goodbye. And Eva was just making this point that Mercury is in retrograde, right?
Glitchy. I'll come back. How's that sound?
It wouldn't be Stop, Drop, and Talk without a bunch of shit going wrong, right? That's what we
That
do.
is so true. And like you just said, Mercury is in retrograde right now. And everyone's wondering, what the fuck is Mercury retrograde? Well, let me school you. Okay.
Here we go.
Okay. So it's just basically like
Sorry.
Here we go. It's basically just the illusion that Mercury, it's an optical illusion, which means it looks as if the planet is moving backwards from our view here on Earth. And they basically believe that during this perceived backwards motion, technology and communication could get disrupted.
Oh,
which
great.
is what's going on with B-Rock's connection shit.
Well, it's just Stop, Drop, and Talk method. That's just how it goes. Like that.
It wouldn't be Stop, Drop, and Talk without a fuck up.
I'm actually kind of glad it's happening now, because if something happened to my car during my huge cross-country trip, I would have been just fine. I just revved up the car and here we are. I just drove all the way from Nashville to Los Angeles, and I am in Los Angeles right now.
Yay!
As you can see behind me. There it is.
Beautiful skyline you have there.
It was a pretty crazy trip, man. It was pretty exciting, but it was a lot of fun. We passed through a lot of we went through, where did we go? We stopped in Little Rock, Arkansas, which I'll tell you what, Little Rock is kind of a hidden gem in the United States.
I've heard that. I've never been there though.
It's actually a pretty cool town. I actually really like it. Little Rock, and then Amarillo, Texas, and then we went to the Grand Canyon, which was pretty cool.
That's awesome. I've only driven by the Grand Canyon because I was there the weekend after Thanksgiving one year, and the line to get in was insane. And I was like, forget it. I am not waiting.
Really? Like, what was it to get into the park?
Yes, it was.
Oh.
It was like so backed up. I was like, we could see it as we were driving by, and I was just like,
see, it was really easy for us, and I'm wondering if the pandemic has anything to do with it. You would think that with everybody not flying or traveling by air, not going to events that are inside or concerts or anything like that, they would want to go to a big, spacious, wide open national park where it's very safe. You're very, very just tiny risk of getting sick or anything with the pandemic going on. And it was fairly, there were a lot of people there, but everyone kept their distance. And it's really cool because the trail going around the Grand Canyon is just like a leisurely walk. It's all paved now.
oh,
It's all
nice.
paved. But I'll tell you what,
never been.
no, really? Wow.
Just
Well,
drove by like that.
I highly recommend it, but I also think that Mount Zion is one of my favorite places to go up in Utah, which is so beautiful. So all those national parks I love going to, and any chance we can do it. But I'll tell you what, something very interesting happened to me along the way. Because as you know, when you're doing a road trip, you're going to have to make pit stops every now and then. And especially going through like the Southwest, going through Texas, Oklahoma, Arizona, and all that. They're not a lot of giant service stations. It's mostly like tiny.
Did you drive like this? If you went Texas to Oklahoma to over, Christ. Now RJ's frozen. Here we go.
Oh God, Mercury's in retrograde. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can
I
you
was
hear me
like,
now?
oh my God. Nobody wants to listen to me
It's
ramble.
the Eva Steele show, everybody. That's what it's going to be. It's going to end up being that. But anyway, I wanted to share with you this story that's so funny. It's so hilarious. As I was traveling through and using all these little tiny little truck stop bathrooms, I realized that in the old days when we first started touring back in like 2005, 2006, you would go into a truck stop bathroom and you would see the most hateful, racist, terrible, like most just disgusting and sexually explicit and horrible graffiti. At least in a men's room, you'll see that. I don't know. I can't speak for the women's room, but for the men's room, it's you don't know what you're missing. Hey, EB Rock Snack, everybody.
Apologize, guys.
All right, he's been.
It happens. Talking about his road trip.
And I would just talk about my road trip across the country, which I am now in Los Angeles. And so I was saying, I was actually talking to you about this on the phone earlier this week about when I was passing through, and I had to take a bunch of pictures, and I sent a bunch of pictures to Dan. Now all of a sudden, graffiti has become political, and that's the world that we live in now, where like people are so politically charged and motivated that they want to not just write but carve graffiti on the wall like this one. Pelosi on these nuts, you know. AOC is an overeducated hoe, which I think is that supposed to be a diss?
That's not even an insult.
God. This is my well, this is a classic.
Typical eat my ass. That's a good one.
Typical eat my ass. I wanted to say that for the finale. Trump has a mushroom dick. I just like seriously, like this was all in one stall. Oh yeah, and this is my favorite. Wearing a mask keeps my president's cock out of my mouth, and I will not have it. It's just terrible. And of course, fuck liberals. Oh fuck, and then like underneath is just like fuck this and fuck. It's just like it's amazing that that we are so politically motivated to want to actually carve things into a bathroom stall about politics. It's just like,
well,
I don't know.
It's amazing how that's evolved over the years.
It really
that's what I'm saying. It's so weird.
Well, and our show next week is the night before Election Day.
Oh boy. Is everyone doing their civil duty and voting?
I voted Friday. I'm already done with voting.
I have not yet. I've been swamped with a bunch of studio work, but I'm going to try to hit it early tomorrow morning and go and do my civic duty. That's right.
I love that you're doing it in person too.
Yeah,
that is really cool.
That's what I did.
It's actually fine. Like my mom went and voted in Florida. My girlfriend, Emily, she voted in Nashville. And they both said like they're doing it right. They're social distancing. And so many people, bless their hearts, are volunteering. So many young people are volunteering. And it's so cool. Oh, there it is. You know? Yeah. So I hope everyone out there listening, if you haven't voted yet, make sure you go out and vote. Damn it. Especially before Halloween.
Your right as an American. That is your right.
That's right.
Do it.
Right? Right.
That's right.
I was the only one that was there when I went to vote. I was the only person. I was in and out in less than 10 minutes.
What time did you go?
Wow. Well, I vote in the town of Sturgis, South Dakota, like population like 5,000 people, because I live in that county.
Okay. I see.
So there's like nobody in there.
Okay,
there was one lady that came in while I was there.
Small populations. I know it's still sad to see a lot of bigger cities are having a lot of long lines to vote, which is not cool and not fair, but you know, hopefully we'll be able to make changes to that. But you also have to be aware that some people are putting up fake ballot drop-off locations in certain places, and that's like, so you also have to be careful of that. Make sure you do your homework, do your research, make sure you're voting in the right location and you're doing it the right way. Make sure you follow all the steps because it's a finicky thing.
It is. So last week on the show, we talked about, what's it last week? The late great Eddie Van Halen.
Oh, I know.
And now there's a rumor going around that Wolfie is going to replace him in Van Halen. And he just recently took to Twitter to squash those rumors. And he's actually very hurt about it.
Oh, man.
And he used some colorful language. You know, like,
it sounds like Wolfie
lost his dad. Like, what the fuck? Like, give him like 5 fucking minutes.
It is tough, man. Being the child of such a legend, that's got to be really hard. You know, you're just getting drugged into the spotlight.
Band back together, basically. Like Sammy Hagar's gonna be. They're doing it.
Misinformation. But who's gonna play bass then? Are they gonna bring Michael Anthony back to play bass then? Or?
That I don't know. All I know is that Wolfie was not happy and squashed those rumors via Twitter. So there you have it. Wolfie is not going to be a member of Van Halen?
Well, you know what? I feel so bad for him because I've hung out with him a bunch of times. He's such a sweet kid, and he doesn't deserve to have all this shit thrown at him. You know.
Well, sometimes the media is just it's ruthless. You know, they don't take into consideration your feelings.
Yeah.
And it's not a
Keyboard
good time.
warriors.
You know? Yeah,
I just went through I just went down an internet rabbit hole, just like kind of researching about the old days. Well, I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago about like, you know, I kind of forgot like how rough Britney Spears had it when she was really famous at the time.
Still,
and
right.
she's
Still has
getting.
it rough.
I just saw you see videos of her at like the drive-thru at McDonald's, and people are snapping photos like crazy. And it just kind of like makes you think, you know, I mean, yeah, like they're ruthless about that. They don't give a shit.
So
and it's a shame. Ugh. Oh well.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine not being able to go to the grocery store or like. But also, she was doing some really weird shit, like going into like gas station bathrooms in LA barefoot.
Yeah.
Like,
you know, it just goes to
writing
show
on
that,
the
like,
stalls for RJ to see.
oh, there we go. Yeah. It goes
oh,
to show
it
that,
was her.
well,
That's
it goes to show that like she wasn't mentally capable for that. Like that was traumatizing. And like we talked about this with Buzz Mingan about how when you get extremely famous or extremely popular super quick, that could be mentally traumatizing.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's crazy.
But in good news, Halloween is coming up this weekend, right?
Yes. Are you guys
Yeah.
planning to accept trick-or-treaters per usual via COVID, like because of COVID? How are you guys going to plan this?
I think I'm going to play the game of try to catch the candy in the basket. Here we go with gloves on. You know, I mean, I thought about installing a chute like that, but I don't have a railing in my house.
RJ, stop it. They're not coming into your house.
No, I just mean like for handing out the candy, like handing them out in a nice safe way.
door.
You know, I mean, like if they come to the door, I mean, like obviously, if you wear a mask, if maybe you have some gloves, if you're able to make sure that it's clean. Also, like, I mean, Emily and I have been tested many times. We do it often just because now we're traveling. We did it before we came over here. We're gonna do it again, and hopefully by then we'll have our results. So we should be totally fine because we don't go anywhere or do anything. So you're right. Maybe we're in the clear.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I plan on handing candy out. Like I'm gonna wear gloves and everything. You know, I mean, I'm not too worried about it. You know, it'd be more weird if the parents come up like and have their kids in the background. That might be a little weird.
I think if you just kind of keep a safe distance, don't get too close. You're just dropping. You're not actually like making physical contact with anybody who's coming to your door. Maybe it's okay. Yeah,
You're not going to be in contact long enough with anybody.
Right.
They're
I know that I'm okay.
Right.
I've tested negative many times. I know that I'm okay. I'm not a threat. So
Right.
I guess
right.
you know, whatever. Anyway.
Neither am I. It's fine.
How many times have you been tested, RJ, for it?
Well, I got tested once. Emily was kind of feeling sick while we were about to go in the studio with Hailstorm, and then I called him up. I was like, Emily's kind of feeling sick. I don't know if it's the evil C or not. But we got tested
because I follow Ryan Reynolds on Instagram because he's hilarious.
Oh yeah, he's
and
funny.
He talks about he has to get tested every day for like a movie, and he's like, basically they tickle your childhood memories with a Q-tip, and then if you ask the nurse or doctor if you can take them out to dinner beforehand, they're gonna say no.
That's pretty good. I like that.
Very uncomfortable. Is it really bad?
It's not that bad. I've done it a few times. It's like
I've been
it kind of
tested
wakes you up.
twice.
You've done it twice? I've done it 3 times. The last time was before we came out here, and then we're going to do it again now that we're. But you know, even when we traveled across the country, we didn't interact with anybody really.
Right.
It could be a gas station, you know.
Well, I just flew. But you're like the airport that I fly out of is small. They don't require you to wear a mask in the airport.
Right. Yeah.
But then once you get on the plane and then in all of your major hubs,
right. Yeah.
they require it. And then they disinfect the plane between every flight.
Yeah.
And then they kind of try to like distance the flights a little bit. Like I was the only one in my row for both flights.
My mom came on a flight to Nashville to come visit to move some of her stuff up. And oh man, like she walked in the house, she had 2 masks on, a face shield, goggles, gloves. Like she made her own little hazmat suit. And it's like maybe a bit overkill, but you know what? I mean, you know,
I love your mom. She's great.
I know she's great. She's like she came in there looking like a space woman. It was amazing. You know, it's
that
like,
is hilarious.
You're probably gonna be fine. You know.
Well, luckily we're all fine. The kids are gonna be fine. Just be smart about how you're trick or treating. I'm sending my daughter to go trick or treat. Like, go for it, girl. Live your life.
Yeah.
You're outside.
Like
you're not watching anything.
They're already wearing masks, right?
Yep, pretty much.
Right?
Hello.
Did any of you guys? By the way, did any of you guys catch the last presidential debate?
No.
I did. Yeah, I watched the whole thing.
You watched the whole thing? God bless. No.
How long is this going to take? Because we have some shit to talk about.
Touch on it too much.
Well, I don't really want to touch
be the
on
big
it.
week.
If you guys don't want to touch on it, that's fine. Because like we said, next week is like the pre-election day. But I do have some jokes about it. If you want me to get into that, what do you guys think?
I mean, if you're
should
ready,
I get into that, or should we wait a little bit longer?
No, let's do it.
All right, then I guess it's time for this week's Medicinal Laughter.
Medicinal laughter. Medicinal laughter.
That's right. That's right. All right. Let's get this over with, all right? We're going to dress it, and then we're just going to forget all about it, like a prenup. You sign it, you put it in the drawer, you forget about it.
Not true.
All right. It's time for your Medicinal Laughter this week. And the top nutty story happening this week is the whole Rudy Giuliani Borat 2 thing. You know, you heard about that? Supposedly, America's mayor was attempting lewd acts with a staged underage female reporter, basically caught on camera with his hand in his pants, trying to pay a visit to Little Italy. He was attempting to pitch for the Yankees, you know. Unfortunately, though, he couldn't pull it off. I guess to be fair, though, he would be the first-hand witness.
Oh my God.
Right, you know what I mean? Looks like he was the one caught colluding with a dictator after all. Or he was just searching for his weapons of ass destruction. Can I get away with one more? Can I get one more of these, please?
Let's hear it.
I do one more. Okay. He was trying to take Pee-wee on his own big adventure. Oh, how dare that Stop, Drop, and Talk stoop so low to this level. Masturbation jokes. I love it. Apparently, Sacha Baron Cohen claims everything was true. And for everyone to watch the film, no surprise, to understand the situation. Upon hearing this, Louis C.K. was at home celebrating his full public redemption. That was a dumb joke. That was a dumb one. I got better ones. Don't worry that. Meanwhile, Giuliani is fighting back and claiming this was a political hit job and it was doctored to make him look bad. Out of concern for this damning evidence affecting his personal relationships, he recently said in an interview, quote, "It's been exceptionally hard on my kids and my wife." Get it? Okay, I made up that last bit. Okay, this is like a joke and also just fact. Because this next thing is too hilarious to be fake. Sacha Baron Cohen, I don't know if you saw this, but Sacha Baron Cohen actually released a spoof video dressed as Borat, pretending to defend Giuliani, and says in the video, quote, and I'll attempt my best Borat voice, "What was an innocent, sexy time encounter between a consenting man and my 15-year-old daughter have been turned into something disgusting by fake news media. I warn you, anyone else try this and Rudolph will not hesitate to reach into his legal briefs and whip out his subpoenas." I have no punchline for that because that's way funnier than anything I could come up with.
Oh my God.
Good, dude.
He was just trying to erect his own New York skyscraper. There we go. That's the last one, I swear. I can't let Sasha get the last one in. What were you saying?
How did they get away with that legally? Like that footage? Like,
who knows?
I don't know. I haven't even seen it. I have no idea. I mean, it's a prank show, but anyway, I don't know. And well, you know what? In a related story, I don't know if you heard about this, but New Yorker writer Jeffrey Toobin was accused of masturbating during a Zoom meeting. Stop, Drop, and Talk's investigative journalist revealed that it was because he ripped off one of our own segments from last season we called "Show Us Your Pants." But unlike me, he forgot to stop masturbating before showing his pants. And that's why I make the medium bucks.
Sometimes you just got to get a quick one out, you know? I mean,
you know what? It gives all new meeting to, hey, when you're on a Zoom meeting, what's really going on down there, right? Am I right?
Show us your hands. Show us your hands.
Show us your hands. I think instead of show us your pants, it should be show us your hands.
What? B-Rock only showed one hand.
Well, my left hand is hurt right now. It's sore.
Yeah, he's
that's raw.
Reminds me of a David Tell joke that says, like, if somebody walks in and catches you masturbating, you just say, "Help! Can't you see my hand and dick are fighting?" Thank you. We love David Tell. Anyway, so in other news, let's talk about the second and final out of 3 presidential debates. That's fucking weird to say. Man, that sounded weird.
It is.
So the second and the last presidential debate just happened. And by the way, the SNL skit was hilarious. I don't know if you saw that, but that was pretty good. But anyway, the second and final out of 3, I'm just going to say the last debate finally happened. And finally, all 8 undecided voters in the entire country finally made up their mind. Just kidding. Once again, to my non-surprise, it got us nowhere new. Both candidates just recited stump speeches, pushing the same old narratives. They should have just done a presidential puppet show hosted by Jeff Dunham, right? Oh, wait! He did, though! Jeff Dunham actually held a puppet show debate online with both Biden and Trump puppets, resembling his famous Walter the Grumpy Old Man character, which I believe was actually designed after Joe Biden's face itself, with the exception of eyebrows. Also, the only difference is that Walter can wrap up his thoughts in under 37 minutes each, right? Seriously, every time Biden went to speak, I held my breath like, dude, you got it. Just no, careful, don't. He tripped himself up again. As if his debate prepper was Daniel Jones from the New York Giants. Remember? Did you see that 80-yard touchdown attempt and he just tripped over his own feet? 80% accurate.
Oh my, dude, that was terrible.
Even his teammates were laughing at him.
That's exactly how I felt about Biden. It's like, almost got, he tripped over himself.
You can see it, dude. Like once he hit the 40-yard line, 30-yard line, he started getting that momentum like forward.
I know, it's so heartbreaking.
Like his head was going faster than the rest of his body.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, apparently he's Joe Biden's debate prepper. Although muting the mics during the debate so the candidates could speak uninterrupted definitely made the whole thing run smoother. Unlike the first debate, it was a huge disappointment to Americans who also love to watch the Maury Povich show. You could even see Trump the whole time just waiting and hoping for Maury to pop out with a DNA test from Ivanka shouting, "Congratulations, Donald! You are not the father!" Woo! He'd be like, my dream come true. Screw you guys. I'm going home. Come on, Ivanka. Not you, Melania. Sorry, babe, but just like my iPhone, it's time for the new model. Gross. Okay, anyway, that's the last one of those. Finally, my last little bit of medicinal laughter is actually some good news for a change. It's actually some really great news that I found out this week. Amid much pushback from several Catholic organizations, Pope Francis has become the first pope to endorse same-sex civil unions. All right! Claiming homosexual people deserve to be in a family because we're all, quote, children of God. And yes, that is such a beautiful thing to finally hear from the freaking Pope. All of God's children should agree legal same-sex marriage should be a no-brainer because everyone knows it doesn't matter whether you're gay or you're straight. If you're married, it's always the same sex, right? That was my little tribute to Robin Williams. We miss you. Mwah. And that is your medicinal laughter for this week. It's now time for B-Ranks with B-Rock.
We're gonna put a pause on that. We got an awesome guest, right, Eva?
What happened? What
That's
happened?
all right. Go ahead, Eva.
We're gonna little birdie just told me our guest is here ready to rock.
Oh, well then, all right.
He's excited, so we're gonna skip into that here quick.
Right, my bad.
Okay.
Heaven forbid I go along with the structure, but that's fine. We're gonna get to your B ranks after our guest segment because now it's time for our special guest to
Yeah.
And popping in with us this week is Matt Sorum, everybody! What is
Look at that. How's it
Matt?
going, Matt?
Woo! Matt Sorum on Stop, Drop, and Talk. What the hell, man? Why did you decide to do our little stupid show?
I have no idea.
And now I owed the producer a favor.
I had to go put a shirt on and kind of do my hair, but I don't know. What do you think?
That's
Put a
good.
hat on, man. Yeah.
I'm a hairstylist, so I can say that.
Well, thanks. This is a big deal. Like, get dressed and have to do something,
Yeah, but what's going on? What's going on with your pants? You got fancy pants on?
No
Nope.
pants.
Nope, none of us.
No
No
pants.
pants.
I'm not going to do the Jeffrey Toobin. Don't worry, though.
Okay. Who knows? We might. But think about the press coverage we would get if that happened.
That's the new Toobin. You just call it doing the Toobin, right?
Toobin. Are you tubing? Are you tubing down there? No.
Toobin.
I mean, honestly, we got a bunch of press for Richard Patrick coming out talking about his thing with Nine Inch Nails, and that got all over these press websites. Imagine the press we would get if Matt Sorum was caught masturbating on Stop, Drop, and Talk, huh?
Well, you know, when we're done, maybe. But
Okay,
not.
maybe later. Maybe later. Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing we didn't do our little segment called "Show Us Your Pants."
Well,
Right.
I'm wondering. I mean, Ava's here, right? So there must have been some hot chick. What was he getting into over there, right? It's like, you know, one of the
Who else is
girls
working
from
over
work. I mean, come on.
You
There's
gotta
like-
wonder. You gotta wonder.
There's like levels of bad stuff going on around that. So I don't know.
I mean,
Anyway.
I also get it. Like when you're on a Zoom meeting, it's boring. You know, like you're just talking about the same stuff, especially when it's like a corporate thing. So it's you got to entertain yourself somehow.
Yeah, I mean,
Well-
you know, something new to do.
What do you think helps me get through this show?
Well, with a name like B Rock and RJ, is that how you pronounce it?
RJ. yeah.
RJ? RJ?
No, just like the letters. It's fine.
You could simplify that, you know. You could
Yeah, it was a
Two letters.
terrible. It was a terrible idea I had in 3rd grade, and then it kind of stuck, and now I'm stuck with it.
Yeah. Okay, man. I'm cool. I'm cool with that. You
I
know.
had a simple name like Matt. You
So
know?
ask me some questions. What am I doing?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Zero.
I love this.
Let's fire
So
away.
you and B Rock go back a little bit. I hear.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't know if Matt.
remember. You told
Yeah,
me
you
Matt,
probably
and I don't remember.
don't recognize me.
well,
There's
look
you
at
and
me.
Look at the
look, you're in the
photo.
bathroom there. Look at that, huh?
Woo!
Well,
I
this
did not
picture,
comb
that
my-
picture is
I
probably.
did not even comb my hair there, Ava. I did not even comb my hair. And I'm in a bathrobe.
That is
Dude,
a
that was
good look.
probably 8-9 years ago. There was
That's
a birthday
rock and roll.
party at your house. And,
Was that like a Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas
Diamond Baby? You
situation?
had a Diamond Baby, and it was really good. But you had like a
Ooh,
hot
And,
tub in your.
I remember that night. Wasn't Lars Ulrich out here, and maybe the guy from Max Bach, that band Maroon 5.
Oh, Maroon 5, yeah.
Maybe.
That
I
one
mean,
band.
it's kind
You
of
know,
hard to
when-
keep up with who's at Matt Sorum's house, but when he tells Andy Dick stories, then it gets really
Oh.
interesting.
Okay,
Right.
well,
Did I hear that that Andy Dick, you bought your house from Andy Dick, correct?
yes.
It's Andy Dick's old house. Okay. So I heard that he got a little confused one night.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
Why don't you tell us that little story?
Well, I think I told it in his movie, so I can tell it again. He basically, have you guys seen the Andy Dick documentary?
No.
No.
I have, yes. Yep.
It's fascinating. It's like, so anyway, I find out that he's selling this place. It's 1929, really cool, like Art Deco Spanish house. So I come over to his house and I realize he's got literally about 25 people living with him. And he says, you know, help me get out of here. I got to get away from these people. So
What?
yeah, all these people moved in. And
Where?
well, it's a 4,000 square foot house. It was like 6 bedrooms.
Where's it at? In LA?
Yeah, my house here. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And then people were living in the living room. People were living in a dining room. And he's like, help me get out of here. So I bought the house. And then he says, they're all going to leave and I'm going to go get a place by myself. Well, he moved down the street and bought a 10 unit apartment building. And they all moved in with him there.
Oh my God.
What?
Yeah.
Fuck.
So one night he comes over here and I'm back in my recording studio, the same place I met you, B Rock. I'm back here. I've fixed it up a little bit since then.
Oh, it's nice. I love all the guitars. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway,
Pretty cool.
one night I'm in here producing this young kind of rock and roll kid from Baltimore, real handsome little guy, and but maybe 21 years old. You know what we used to look like when we were really young. You know, skinny, and he could eat a pizza and still be skinny. He was like,
Good old days.
good haircut, full hair. You know, like a young Nikki Sixx and like maybe like 70, 81 with like, And so all of a sudden I'm sitting here producing and I look over at the window and I see Andy Dick's face like this. And I'm like, what the hell? So I opened the door. I haven't been drinking as hard as the old days, but I had a bottle of vodka, like literally set on the table because I was throwing down some cocktails. I had, maybe some vodka cranberry, something nice.
Hell yeah.
Well, Andy, the door comes flying open and he goes straight for the bottle of vodka and he guzzles the whole thing, just like,
Whoa.
Andy, save some for the rest of us. I'm like, come on, man. And then he decides to tackle the young rock and roll kid. He tackles the young rock and roll kid. And, everyone knows he he pretty much plays it in the middle. He likes girls, he likes guys, he likes everything, you know. So this poor kid from Baltimore is getting pantsed by Andy Dick live in my studio. And he's like, I'm like, I just yell, "Welcome to Hollywood," you know. It's kind of like
What about Andy Dick partied harder than most rock
I
stars?
literally carried him out the front door and I said,
Oh my
"You're not allowed."
God.
I said, "You're not allowed to come back here, Andy. It's not your house anymore."
Oh my God, that
Yeah,
is
it's kind of scary that he knows where you live,
That's a true story.
right?
Well, I got his mail for a long time, and then I got like all these like, I don't know if he had an ad in Craigslist or something for like he could come live with me for free, but for a while I would get all these like kids coming, not kids, but like young people that were coming to Hollywood to be an actor or whatever, like knocking them. Andy said I could live here. I said, you know, Andy's not here. Please go away. So I put up a big gate and like a camera and all that stuff because
Oh
I
my
could.
God.
Yeah,
You
because I
have
could just
to.
look out. The doorbell would ring. I could just look and go, "It's one of
It's
Andy."
just, dude, like, I don't know what my
the
reaction
hell?
would be to see, like, you look over and you're probably semi buzzed and you're seeing Andy Dick in a window. I don't know if
I
I'd
would've
be
shit my pants. I
completely
would've been like-
frightened or like halfway laugh a little bit. Like, I mean,
Well, I've known the guy for a while, and if you get a chance, check out his documentary. I'm in it. I talk about him.
I always like think that he like. Have you seen him in that movie, Employee of the Month, that he did with Dane Cook and Jessica Simpson, where he has like the Coke
Glasses.
bottle glasses?
Well,
Like-
yeah.
That is just like how I envision him daily.
Well, he partied it up pretty good out here in Hollywood. You know, when I bought the house, there was this, which is now the lounge behind me. There's a really nice lounge with like a bunch of cool stuff. But when I bought it, that was like an outdoor garden, and I went in there, and it was just like this gigantic bong, huge, and like a table and a bong. And I'm like, wow.
I imagine that. I imagine he kind of comes from that culture of in that era when it was like him and like Tom Green, and it was just like whoever was the most carrot top, like they were just like the most like the more wacky and more crazy, the better.
Well, I hung with Carrot Top too. I've hung with all those guys.
I've heard he's cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, comedians are crazy, man. I mean, think
Yeah.
what they do, right? I
Yeah, we
mean,
know we have RJ.
yeah.
Hey!
Well,
See, even the wannabe comedians are crazy.
I mean, you travel, you go on tour on the road, you do all
Yeah.
that, you do stand up. So
No, I haven't done done professional stand up yet, but I have done a few like open mic nights just for fun. And it's really fun. And the thing about a lot of comedians is that a lot of them suffer from depression, and their therapy is making people laugh. Like they gravitate towards that because it helps them.
yeah, I can relate to that. So, I mean, I know a lot of big comedians. When I first came to LA, I met Pauly Shore. And I-
Nice. Yes.
Okay.
Same
Yeah.
one. Same era.
check out a movie called Pauly Shore is Dead.
Oh,
I've seen that, dude. That is a tricky movie. How he kind of, yeah. Didn't some people get mad about that?
He fakes his suicide to become famous, right? But
Right.
I
you
don't
know,
remember about that.
Yes.
So I'm in the Coffee Bean, and I run into Paul. He's like, "Matt, how you doing?" I was gonna buy his mother's house, Mitzi Shore. She was the original Comedy Store, right? She
Right.
ran the Comedy Store for a lot of big Richard Pryor, all the greats, Sam Kinison, all those big
Oh,
guys.
yeah, absolutely.
So anyway, I was gonna buy the house, and that's how I met Pauly. And anyway, I run into him in the Coffee Bean, and I'm getting a coffee, and he's like, "Matt, what's going on?" I said, "Well, I'm doing some recording. I got my own studio. I'm doing some film scores." He goes, "You do film scores?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah." He goes, "I have a movie." I go, I'm kind of like, "Ha, cool. Yeah, all right, cool." kind of like, have my coffee and go, right? And he finally says,
Right.
"I've got Sean Penn in my movie." I'm like, "What?"
So
What?
Yeah. He goes, "Ben Stiller's in my movie." I go, "What?" I go, "Let me check it out." So he goes, I can't pay you a lot of money, but I'll bring all the food and we'll have fun and I'll feed you every night." So he would come to the studio. I mean, he paid me okay, but whatever. But he would come every night with a 10-pack of Taco Bell.
fucking hilarious.
I'm like, "Not again." I'm like, "Come on.
Oh,
What about filet mignon or like, some
but
some
what happened with the movie?
So
Yeah.
Did the movie actually happen?
Yeah, the movie's out. I did all the music for it.
Dude, that is so cool.
Oh,
Good for
killer.
you, man.
Very
That's
cool.
awesome.
So
Yeah.
I'm sure being in LA, you meet, obviously tons of crazy characters and also some like really, really great people. And I saw that you were driving around Palm Springs the other day with Billy Gibbons.
Yep. Oh,
Oh, nice.
that's
So
my
what were you guys doing there, buddy?
I have a house there.
Okay. Just
Yeah.
randomly like gonna go hang out with Billy Gibbons.
Me and Billy have a band.
You do. Tell us about it.
It's
Hey-o.
called. Yep, it's called. That's us. That's a cold, windy day in Chicago.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
a rad
I know,
photo, actually.
The band is called the Big Bad Blues. Our last album got Best Blues Album in Nashville and a bunch of awards. We did really well with that record.
dude, all right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks,
That's
RJ.
incredible.
And now we made a new record this summer during the pandemic. My friend has a ranch up in Pioneer Town near a place called Pappy and Harriet's. So I got Billy to come out there, and we finished the record about 3 weeks ago, and we shot a bunch of videos. We released another video from the last record about 2 weeks ago called Hollywood 151. Check that one out.
Very
We shot
cool.
that.
Nice. Very cool.
Hollywood 151.
Yeah, it's about these two guys who met in East LA, and they had a little band. They had like one of them played the bajo, which is like a Mexican bass, and
Yeah, those are cool.
and they had a drum machine. And Billy said to the guy, "Hey, how'd you get the name for your band?" He goes, "Well, we live in Hollywood and we drink Bacardi 151."
That's amazing.
All right,
I like
Cool.
that.
good band
Yeah.
name. So,
sense.
So-
check that video out. That just came out.
What's going on with that now? Is that's obviously still going on? So, like, what are your plans for that project in the future?
We're going to hopefully tour it next year. We went out on a
Okay.
tour about a year and a half ago, but
How'd it go?
because Billy's still in ZZ Top. It's the longest.
Right.
I don't know if you know this, but it's the longest American rock and roll band to still be together with all the original members. They've
Oh
been
my
together-
God, that's crazy.
That's incredible.
They've been together since 1969, so 52 years now.
So speaking of great
Wow.
careers, you have played in literally almost every major rock band, and you've had an incredible career yourself. For those that don't know, Guns N' Roses, Velvet Revolver, The Cult. You've done super groups along the way. What is your
Hollywood Vampires. I saw you guys. I saw you playing with them
Yeah,
in
for
Rio.
sure.
We played the
Fun.
same show with you guys in Rock and Rio.
so
Yeah, that's cool. That was a great gig. Yeah.
So fun.
Cool.
So doing all those things and having this incredible career that you've had, what would you say is like one of your favorite memories from your career? Because there's got to be like a million.
Well, God, there's so many. The highlight would probably be Freddie Mercury tribute.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that makes
It's with
Very
us, Metallica, Def Leppard opened, and then everyone that performed with Freddie had passed away. So everyone, you can watch it on YouTube. But
Check that out.
I was Robert Plant was backstage, David Bowie, Annie Lennox, George
Wow.
Michael, Elizabeth Taylor. I mean, all these crazy people.
Jeez.
And, it was just like, it was probably one of the biggest. I mean, I've done the Grammys and all that stuff too, and that's like a Starr thing. But it was like, it was cooler because everyone was there for Freddie. And, and Axl, go watch Axl do Bohemian Rhapsody with Elton John. So it's on YouTube.
Okay.
Axl doing the end, Elton does the beginning. And then Slash played with Queen. He did Tie Your Mother Down with Joe Elliott from Def Leppard. So all these big names joined the band. And then at the very end, me and Duff were really drunk, and Liza Minnelli came out. and everyone said, "Get on stage. Liza Minnelli's doing We Are the Champions," right? So if you watch the video, it's me and Duff are back there like,
No way.
we're kind of like, we're not in time. You know what I mean? We're like,
That's hilarious.
So
everyone's going,
cool.
"We are the champions, my friend."
That's amazing.
Right?
What a cool thing to be a part of, man.
Yeah,
Freddie
I
Mercury is
partied
one of
with
my
Liza.
favorites.
I partied with Liza. That girl, she could drink. And then I met George Michael too.
So
Very
cool.
He was a good dude. He was a good dude. He was.
Yeah. I was sad.
And we
when
all-
I gotta ask you, Matt. If you're
Well,
comfortable talking about it,
Yeah.
What was it like playing and collaborating with Scott from Stone Temple Pilots? Kind of near towards the end of his career, because I mean, man,
I know,
I'm a
Velvet
huge fan
Revolver-
of that guy. Yeah,
that whole record was amazing. Yeah,
it
all
was.
his records.
Yeah, it
Thank
is.
you. Well, Scott came in, we were looking for a singer for almost a year and a half. And we couldn't find anyone, man. And I said, we just left me and Slash and Duff, we were with one of the greatest frontmen of all time, with Axl Rose. And
right.
So I said, Slash, we got to get a proper front man. We got to get the real deal. Big name, let's get Chris Cornell has just been taken by Audio Slave. So he was out.
Right.
Yeah.
We were like, what about Chris Cornell? We're like, oh, he's taken. Oh, damn.
Damn it.
But then we got, we got, actually Duff went out to dinner with Scott and their wives. And Scott said, oh man, I just broke, we just split Stone Temple Pilots. So we were like, okay. So Scott came in and he literally wrote Set Me Free, that song Set Me Free, which took off the movie The Hulk. He wrote it in like 5 minutes.
Wow.
And we were like, I looked at, there's a documentary called The Rise of El Revolver. And yeah, I could watch it. It was on VH1.
Check that out. And
Scott comes in. There's a lot more to the story, and I don't really want to go into it because he's gone and everything. But basically, he was amazing. And I said to the band, I said, this is gonna take us to another level because, he wasn't the same as Axl. He was a modern. I mean, Axl was Axl and Scott's Scott. That's the only way I could put it.
Right. Oh yeah, there's no comparing, absolutely. But I mean, as far as iconic frontmen go, he's up there. He's right up there with Freddie Mercury.
I don't think it's hard to sit down and go, who's the best young frontman that's out there? And I can't really think of any. I mean, I love the guy from the Killers, but that's not a hard rock band. I love that little band, the Struts, but they haven't quite nailed the song yet where it's like, boom, I think he's got something. There's when I see younger singers like that, it gives me hope.
Yeah. What newer bands are you into right now? Like what have you been listening to?
I got to tell you, man, I mean, I don't really know. I mean, stuff comes around, I hear it. But I'm out in Palm Springs listening to Frank Sinatra and I'm like, buddy,
hey, there you go.
But I'm interested. There's a band called Joyous Wolf that I'm really hoping for. They're a really young band. They kind of remind me of they've got a little bit of. Have you heard them?
Yeah, I've heard it. Yeah.
The singer's got this thing. He's got this wiry kind of Iggy Pop, but they just got to get that song. Right. And it'll be like, boom, right? I like them a lot. They've got something, but they just got to, for the bands I've been in, I've been lucky enough that we've had the catalog. We've had the music, the Cult, Ian Astbury. I was in the band when he was the pinnacle frontman, and we had the hits, we had the songs. Right. And same with Scott, same with Axl, and that attributed to our success and to be able to continue, that's why
they need a Matt Sorum to come in and help them create a hit.
There you go.
I mean, I thought about
you're the common denominator,
right? Yeah, you're the answer, buddy.
Young rock bands about what to do and what not to do. That's for sure. It's like, I thought about starting my own, psychiatrist thing, not like the Metallica movie where the guy comes in there. Remember that movie? And they're all like sitting around going, "What are we gonna do?" That was a little hard.
Therapy. Yeah.
I was like, oh man, I don't really want to know about all that. It's
right.
Let's just keep it like, you hear about the bands I've been in. Yes, they've been tumultuous and crazy and Matt. Oh, that's the thing. That's the killer chaos.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
That's the big world's. That's my super group.
Oh yeah, look at that.
That's Gilby Clarke in the front, isn't it?
Yeah, Joe Elliott, Billy Duffy, Mike Inez, Mouse in Chains, Glenn Hughes, Steve.
Mike Inez, there he is.
Gene Simmons and Duff McKagan up top.
Gene Simmons, look at him go.
The guy way in the back is Ed Roland from Collective Soul.
No way!
Oh,
that was one of the
no way.
bands we played with, like in the early career. In our early career, we played a show with them and Billy Idol.
Let me tell you a quick story. So, I negotiate with Gene Simmons to come with me, and the band's called Kings of Chaos. And I said, Gene, it's my band. I'm the leader. And he said, well, I've never really been told what to do.
Ah!
I said, how about if I give you what, you just come on stage and have fun. And you don't have to worry about anything. And he's like, I'm in. How much?
Yeah, right. That seems to be his MO.
I got him on tour and he came down. Well, the promoter called and said, this band, Collective Soul, is huge in Paraguay. And I said,
No way.
Yeah. So he said, can you get the singer from Collective Soul? So I'm like, okay. But I got Gene Simmons. I got Joe Elliott. I got Duff McKagan. I want Ed Roland. So I'm like, okay, I'll call Ed Roland. So Ed comes. We go on this tour. We got a private jet. We land in Paraguay. And the gig's 25,000 seats sold out, right? Outdoor, like stadium. And Gene says, well, good job, Matt. Sold out show. You were doing great. Off to a good start. And I'm like, yeah. So we get on stage and Glenn Hughes comes out from Deep Purple, kills it. Joe Elliott comes out, kills it. And then Ed Roland gets up, right? The crowd goes mental. And we go into that song. And the whole 25,000 people, there it is.
Heaven, let your light shine down.
That might be Mexico. That's Mexico City with Miles Kennedy and Corey Taylor. But anyway, don't you let your light shine down. Hey, the crowd was like, and we all look at each other. We go, oh my God, Ed Roland's huge in Paraguay.
Amazing.
Wow. He was a massive star there and a massive star in South Africa. So I took Ed back to Africa with me. I went down with Slash, Steven Tyler, brought Billy Gibbons, all these guys. And it's like my bucket list band, and I play all their hits and it's fun. And we get paid too. We get to make a little money too. So it's good.
So cool because
that's pretty amazing, man. That's pretty cool.
RJ's
so where's our friend Dan Catullo?
Yeah, does he want to pop in?
There he is.
Hey!
He's in Dubai, as you know, Matt.
Oh,
look at you, pal.
Here's Matt and I on the set of one of his video shoots.
Yeah.
Yes, so Dan, you directed a video for him,
Dan
correct?
did not mess around. My wife had a band at the time called Diamond Baby, and I said, Dan, I need to make a video. And, he shows up with like 3 semi trucks and, 50 lighting people.
And so
is that Jane Lynch right there?
Yeah.
And Vern Troyer was in it, correct?
Vern Troyer played the Diamond Baby, which was my wife's band. And so Dan says, well, now we got to get some stars so we can go viral. So I called Jane Lynch. She played like this part in the video. And then Juliette Lewis is in it where she gets arrested. I was going
to arrest her. I got
that shot right there. Yeah.
He was super aggressive too. She's like, don't be a pussy. Act like a real cop. If you wanted to get really rough with her. That was the funniest.
Slammed her down on the car. I'm like, whoa.
I don't know if you remember this. The last day of the shoot, so Matt called in everybody. We had like 100 extras, and the last day there was supposed to be a party scene, and we rented this house in the Hollywood Hills, and we had a pretty big production because Matt borrowed Jerry Cantrell's Corvette. We put it in a driveway with a big green screen, and we're producing. And back then I smoked. I go out front to have a cigarette, and as a joke, I had the shirt on that said director, and I'm out there smoking a cigarette on the phone, and a guy comes walking up and he goes, who's in charge here? And I'm like, how can I help you? He's like, you're the director? And he whips out a badge and he's the fucking film commissioner. And he's like, you guys don't have a permit. I live next door. And I go, that's a joke. There's a guy inside with a fedora on named Matt. I said, so the guy starts walking down the driveway. I run and I duck behind the car and I'm calling everybody. I'm like, the film commissioner's here. So I'm thinking we're done because this was a pretty big setup because we even had people were tossing fire in the house.
Yeah. We had a flame, that girl that blew flames.
Matt's upstairs jamming with this guy and his son. Turns out the guy was like a huge like Guns N' Roses fan. So Matt's like giving him drum lessons. that's how he calmed down.
Yeah.
RJ.
Blame it on Mercury is on retrograde.
Yeah. So Vern
What I missed?
Troyer was my friend. I knew Vern before he was Mini-Me, you know, and I said, hey, you got to play this part. You're like this character. And remember when he pulled up and everyone was like, wow, he's even smaller in person. I said, yeah, he's 23 inches tall. And he was great. And then who else was in it? Oh, Lemmy was in it.
Yeah, Lemmy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember seeing the bartender. Video, yeah.
Lemmy played the bartender and he gets there and he goes, what did you get me into, Matt?
I mean, this thing was
I said, you're pouring drinks. Come on. It's not going to be tough.
that was good. That was a good time. And basically, Matt called everybody up in Hollywood. So we had a big party. I mean, it was like,
Thanks for a good time. Sounds like a good time to me.
Thanks, Dan.
Well, and from what I understand, Jane Lynch was one of your neighbors too, right?
Yep. Jane lived next door to me. And I used to play, you know, my studio. And she came over one day and she says, hey, will you give my daughter drum lessons? And so her daughter would come over and give her drum lessons.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then I ended up asking her to join. I have a charity called Adopt the Arts for kids here in LA.
Oh, so cool, man.
Not to say that. Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Margaret. So I said, hey, will you help me with my charity? And she's like, yeah, she was in. So she's on the board of my charity and
No way.
That's amazing.
Great lady. And she ended up moving up into the Hollywood Hills after she got some more Emmys, you know.
Yeah. She's
When
on.
when she lived down here, she was on Glee. So we'd walk down to the coffee store and like me and her be walking and all of a sudden, you know, it'd be like paparazzi and all that kind of stuff. And I'd be like, oh, not again. She goes, sorry, Matt, it's for me. You know, it's like,
Hey, who's got more Emmys, her or Dan Catullo, huh?
Jane Lynch.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Sure.
Dan Lynch wins.
All right, Dan. Love you.
do you have an Emmy, Dan?
Hey, you might.
You got 4?
He does that. See that? He kind of hides it under there.
He just won another one.
But Matt has the most epic award in this house. He has what was that crazy VMA you have? It's like a gold VMA. It was for like the Icon Award or
The
something.
Michael Jackson Video Vanguard Award.
Yeah, he has a video Vanguard
cool,
award.
man.
So I would trade everything for that motherfucker. That's the award. That thing's badass.
That's the one.
Well, if you know the history of that award, they made that award for Michael because in those days, you know, Michael would sit front row at an award show, and that particular year he didn't have any album out and he didn't have an award, but they wanted Michael there, right? Because he was the king of pop. And Michael was like, well, I'm not coming. And they're like, well, we're going to make you an award. So they started this sort of tribute era. Michael was the first recipient. So it was called the Michael Jackson Video Vanguard Award. It was a gold movement versus silver. And then I can't remember if the Rolling Stones got it second, somebody big. And then about year 3, Guns N' Roses got the Video Vanguard Award, and they called us, and Axl said, "I don't want it." And they're like, "What?
What the fuck? Huh?
Yeah. So it's a true story, and it's a pretty funny story because Axl's like, "Well, it has nothing to do with Michael Jackson. I mean, what do I have to do with Michael Jackson?" And you know, Slash had gone and played with Michael, and I don't know if Axl was too happy about it, but so.
Ooh.
So they say to us, "Well, come down. We'll just call it the Vanguard Award." And we get down to there at MTV, and like I remember, it was Roger Taylor and Brian May were the ones giving us the award on the mic, right? So they go, they show all the videos, blah blah blah. You know, November Rain and Sweet Child, all the videos, and
Right.
you know, over the loudspeaker goes, and this year's recipient of the MTV Michael Jackson Video Vanguard, and Axl goes, "What?" And he's like. He literally is turning around to leave. He's like, "I'm out of here."
Oh.
Yeah, and I grab him by his shirt and I go, "Come on, Axl, get back here."
You're like, this is a fucking honor, you idiot.
Yeah,
Go
right?
watch the YouTube. He walked up on stage and he says into the mic, Look at me with my curly hair over there. Crazy.
Oh yeah, looking
Oh my
good.
God.
Good.
Woo!
No curlier than Brian May, though. May you look at Brian May. So
True.
Axl says the first thing he says is, "This has nothing to do with Michael Jackson." Go back and watch. And then he goes, "Yeah, ooh." And then he goes, "But thanks," and we walked off. And that was
You know
it.
what? But you and RJ both have Grammy awards. I don't have a Grammy, so you know. And
me and Eve don't either. So.
Wow! Congratulations, RJ.
Hey, congratulations to you. Aren't we special?
You guys have the same Grammy. Matt, what was your Grammy for?
Velvet Revolver.
For what category?
Best rock performance.
Oh yeah, same. That's the same one we got.
You guys are the same Grammy winners. He got best rock performance.
And we got nominated last year. I think it was last February. We got nominated again for the same category, but we lost to Chris Cornell. And honestly, like he was the only one in the category. I was like, if Chris Cornell, if it's not us, I hope it's Chris Cornell. And it was Chris Cornell, and I think he deserved it more than anyone.
Yeah. We were up for best rock album, but we were up against that Green Day American Idiot record.
Ooh!
No.
So yeah.
Well, RJ and Matt, have you guys ever collaborated, or I mean,
No, we
Wait a
haven't.
minute.
came across paths?
I just did a gig thing with his sister. I've never met her.
That's right. But the only time that we ever did anything was we did a signing at NAMM for Ludwig, I think it was at the time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And okay, so yeah, I remember Rock and Rio now with Hollywood Vampires.
Right.
But then so I don't know if you guys have seen the Come Together thing where his sister just crushes it.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Flash on guitar, Lizzie, Mike Garson from Bowie,
Right.
Blackgo. And then we did a Long Way to the Top with Robin Zander and Lizzie switching on vocals. One of those pandemic videos, you know.
Right. Like kind of like something we've been doing a lot is like trying to just provide content for fans in our absence. And one of them on my end, of course, is this podcast. So we're all trying to do our part. Has it been affecting you a lot, like not being able to do shows?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to come up with solutions for stuff. I'm really involved in tech. And I'm doing a lot of stuff. Carrie Brown. I work with Carrie.
Yeah.
You guys have been working together. So
that's right. We know Carrie.
We're doing a lot of cool stuff. And then, like I said, I made this Billy Gibbons record, so that kept me busy. Been shooting little videos. I don't know if you saw the Tom Petty video I made with me singing.
Oh, that's right, man. That's awesome.
Just doing stuff. I mean, working on the house. Like I just kicked the workers out, and they're wearing masks and they're like putting up a door, that kind of stuff.
Right.
Have you guys been staying in Palm Springs more, or are you in LA?
We started to go back to Palm because it gets super hot in the summer. It can be 120, and then usually start heading back around October. And then we're going to be here in LA just because we got to go to the dentist, get a haircut. But
they don't have dentists in Palm Springs.
No, nobody I trust yet.
Yeah.
I don't like the vet there. I take my dog here. That kind of stuff.
I know a really good dentist in South Dakota.
Oh, here we go. Matt, speaking of South Dakota, last time I talked to you, I'm not sure. Like
Dr. Bovine. Dr. Bovine.
Do you still remember any stories traveling through South Dakota, North Dakota, or Montana? Anything like that?
Well, Fargo, North Dakota is legendary, right?
Yes, it is.
Kind of.
It is.
I remember the first time I heard that. Well, my relatives are from Minnesota, so the accent can go far.
Okay.
So the most North Dakota / Minnesota thing you can say is, "Hey, do you want to go check out the boat show at the Fargo Dome?"
Hey, you want to go check out the boat show at the Fargo Dome?
Yeah.
So me and Dizzy Reed, we land in Fargo, North Dakota, right? And we're playing there with Guns N' Roses at the time, and I think it was a Sunday night or something. And we're looking for the gentleman's establishment, which I believe was probably by the airport.
No, it's not. There's the only gentleman's establishment in Fargo, North Dakota is the Northern.
That was it.
That is owned by my very, very good friends that own Iron Horse Saloon in Sturgis. And it's so hard to get a license to have, because of like oil fields and stuff, to have strip clubs up there. So that is the only strip club in North Dakota, to my knowledge.
Well, I know one thing that you guys have in North Dakota, and I don't know if you still do, but you had a lot of fireworks. You could go there to get fireworks because when I was in Minnesota, we couldn't get them in Minnesota. So we'd drive over to North Dakota to get fireworks, and then we could get like massive bottle rockets. And I remember being on tour with the Cult rolling through there, and we bought a whole bunch. And then have you ever guys done like fire rocket wars where you set up?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you basically
North Dakota. We're South Dakota, man. We're a lot better than North Dakota.
B-Rock and I we're the better Dakota. B-Rock and I are in South Dakota.
You guys are in the South.
Well, Rapid City, is that in South?
Mount Rushmore. Yep. Pretty close.
Okay, Rapid City, Sturgis, yeah.
Yep.
I played Sturgis with a Revolver.
Oh, wow.
Where at the Buffalo Chip?
Probably Buffalo Chip.
Where they have all the bikes. Yeah, Buffalo Chip. And I remember
everywhere, Matt.
You know, it's funny. The one and only time we ever played the Buffalo Chip in Sturgis was with ZZ Top. So
yeah, well, they play it pretty much every year. And I came off stage, and there was Dee Snider. I'm like,
Dee Snider goes up there every year.
He does.
So yeah, we played the Buffalo Chip, and then with the Cult. When I was on the Justice for All tour with Metallica. That particular tour, if you go back and you look at the history of Metallica, they wanted to play every state, every city, and both cities, not just the big one. They would do like the smaller one, and they would do Rapid City or whatever.
B markets.
Yeah, the B markets.
Yep.
And then, so I remember rolling through there with them, with the Cult, and that was the first time I started because of Ian Astbury. We were opening for Metallica. I started really learning a lot about Native American culture because he was very into Native American.
Oh yeah.
So when we were in Rapid City, it was the Cree Indians, right? The Cree and the Sioux Indians, and it was really cool because I started like learning about the region, and Ian was hipping me to all that stuff, and I remember
so cool.
Yeah, so I spent time through there, and then with Metallica. On that particular tour, we stayed out with them for about 6 months. And I remember we played in a basketball court in Vermont. We were in and do you remember the Justice for All statue?
Yeah.
The ceiling was so low, it was just like her arm and the head. They couldn't get it all in. But
it broke apart during the show, right? It would fall apart in pieces.
I'm not really sure. Can you explain it to me? I'm lost.
None of you guys were born yet. It's only Matt and I probably.
There you go.
I'm kind of lost.
Do you want us to go? Do you want us to leave? You guys got a moment?
We can just go.
You need a moment? Okay, see you later.
Me and Lars became really good friends on that tour. And
cool.
Basically, he would pay me to play with the band. And I would go, he'd give me $100 because it was a Little Wing by Hendrix. And Kurt Hammett would do his guitar solo. And I would go out on this massive drum set, and all the tom-toms were like really high and flat.
Right.
There, like this, I'm like,
how did he do that?
And I remember the monitors, in those days we didn't have in-ears. It was just big monitors.
Oh, yeah.
The only thing coming out of the monitors on like 11 was James Hetfield's guitar. That was it.
Nice.
There was no bass. There was no bass at the time. It was Jason Newsted.
Yeah.
No bass at all.
Just listens to James.
Just James.
That's it.
And then I said, Lars, what the hell? He goes, I just listen to James. That's all I listen to.
Oh God.
Like, okay.
Oh my God.
So I guess that's how they write their records, and that's just the two of them.
Right, yeah.
They do all that, and they come up with all the shit, and then
I'm kind of similar to that. The loudest thing in my mix on stage is my guitar player Joe, because I feel like he's the one that I need to like really lock in with to get the riffs tight with the drum parts. And I feel like that might be a common thing. What about you? What does your mix look like when you're on stage?
I like hearing everything. I really like hearing the singer because I sing a lot of background vocals, but
oh yeah, that too. Yeah.
I was taught to play to the singer. I was always taught to play to the singer.
I definitely keep all the vocals really high in my mix, especially my own vocal, just to make sure the harmonies are tight. Yeah, yeah.
Wait,
That's,
all,
RJ,
all the bands I've been in, we never played to click
I
track.
thought obviously
Yeah,
I'm
me
not
either.
a professional musician. I
No?
play guitar, but I thought that like the guitar the drummer and the bass player had to be on the same sync like the whole time.
Well, yeah, I
Is
listen to a lot of bass. Bass for me
Okay.
is like me and Duff McKagan. We were a rhythm section for many years, and
You guys are
And-
the rhythm section.
yeah, me and Duff will lock in, and the rest of the guys were kind of like, okay, whatever. But same thing when I played with Robert DeLeo, those kind of level guys.
Oh,
Geezer Butler.
one of the best bass players ever.
For me, for a drummer, bass is everything for me.
Oh yeah, like my bass player Josh, we're so locked in, like we don't even really need to have each other loud in our mix. We just know that we're gonna be fine.
Yeah. So yeah, good times.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah, you play with some pretty amazing bass players for sure.
Yeah, I've been lucky to do that, man. Billy's band, we don't have a bass player. It's 2 guitars and drums.
Whoa, I didn't know that.
That is
Yeah.
crazy.
Octave pedal. See that? There
Oh
we go.
yeah.
2 guitars.
You don't need a bass player when you got a pedal, right?
Do you see the light on that? Do you see the light on the pickups?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Those are called
Yeah.
Little Thunder pickups. They're stereo pickups. One is 2 octave down, so the low note goes down 2 octaves. So it's like Jack White on steroids.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Awesome.
And if you hear the album, it's like got this dum 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 thing. Because bass, Billy doesn't like busy bass, so he likes to keep it more like dum 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 dum, right?
Matt, do you play differently then? Do you give like more kick drum? Do you do stuff to kind of compensate for not having a bass then?
The bass is coming out, but it's done on a guitar with an octave pickup, not an octave divider pedal.
Right.
And then there's 2 amps on stage in stereo, so that particular part of the pickup goes to the bass amp. So I've got this low end chunk. It's pretty fat, and
nice.
it's a different thing. You have to hear the album. It's
Yeah,
like,
so it's so like the I love
Royal Blood.
them.
Royal Blood is the
Got an
opposite.
awesome
It's like
single
bass
come out.
and drums with an octave up, and then Jack White, of course. Jack White,
Yeah.
Right.
Jack White,
Pinky
White
Thumb.
Stripes. That was basically an octave divider pedal drop down. So it's in that realm, but it's a little bit tighter because it's a pickup. Versus
That's really different. Okay, so all you new bands out there, if you can't find a bass player, just get one of those. There you go.
Well, I look at these bands, these young bands that are on the road, and I'm thinking necessity, right? You can't. First of all, you're not getting paid much.
Yeah, right.
Second of all, how are you going to get around?
Yeah.
So
and it's way
make it
cool than
2
having a bunch
guys.
of backtracks. Just like,
You-
yeah.
Yeah, 2 people, 3 max, right?
Oh yeah.
So
It's crazy.
Badass, man. That's really
Well,
cool.
And like,
Out of everybody I know, Matt knows everybody. And I always, every time I feel like I'm lucky and I get backstage somewhere big, I bump into Matt. Like last time I saw Matt at the show, I was with Paul McCartney at Desert Trip, and I'm like, this is amazing. I'm with the legend, and I turn around and there's Ace and Matt right there, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Matt is everywhere.
you got in Paul McCartney's
There he
dress for him. I didn't.
Well, I was working. I wasn't there as a guest, but yeah.
Do you remember how they had the tents and each band had their own like massive area? And
That setup was unbelievable. They call it. You guys don't know it. It's called Ocella. It was a desert trip, and it was like Paul McCartney, Neil Young. I mean, it was massive. It was this
Bob Dylan, the Stones.
It was crazy.
So anywhere you go, you're gonna see Matt somewhere. So you're basically like the Forrest Gump of like the rock and roll world, right? You're everywhere.
No,
Yeah.
you're in every major band, and then you know everybody. It's
Oh,
it's
you know who invited me that night, which is so weird because if you're from LA and you're in a band and you play LA or close to LA, for me, the phone starts ringing off the hook. Like everyone.
Oh yeah.
And someone will call from like 2 years ago. Matt, how you doing? You playing,
Hey, buddy.
And I'm like, where were you when I was in jail? Clonk.
oh my God, I love that.
You did not answer your
Get out,
phone,
buddy.
right? And then I'm like, the only 2 people that ever invited me to a show were English people. One was Brian May. He called me up, mate, I'm playing the Hollywood Bowl. I'm like, who invites people to a show in LA? Oh, they're not from LA. And
oh,
then
that's right. There you go.
and then I got
You're
invited.
English gentleman.
Yeah, an English gentleman. But I would never do that. I'm never invited. Because I can barely have a guest list of my, maybe my friends, my closest friends. So the drummer.
I'll invite you next time we play LA. How about that?
That would be amazing.
There we go. I'll do it. I'll break the mold.
You're in LA, RJ. You guys can literally have coffee
This is
tomorrow.
what I'm picking up on. Is B-Rock.
Who's the second person, Matt?
Huh?
Who's
Oh,
the second
Zack,
person?
yeah, yeah.
Starkey. Zack Starkey from the
Oh,
movie.
nice.
He
Yes.
invited me. Oh, I saw you.
He's an animal, man. He's unbelievable.
He was also playing at the Hollywood Vampire Show in Rio.
Yeah, he came down and we did double drums.
So cool. It was so cool to me. I got to meet him that night. It's such a great guy.
Well, let me get just a quick briefing on Zack Starkey, who you should have on the show. So
I think we should. Oasis, baby.
love
That's
to have
right.
him on. Yeah. So Zack is Ringo's kid. Everyone knows that, right?
Oh, I
Oh.
didn't know that.
He's the son of a
Oh, you
Beatle.
didn't know that?
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot
There's
taller than him.
There's Matt with Ringo, of course. He knows Ringo.
Yeah.
Oh,
He
of
took-
course.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's
where'd he get
in
the height
Nice,
from?
France. So anyway, long story short, or longer, who cares? So Ringo and Keith Moon were best friends. They were like drinking buddies, Keith Moon from The Who, legendary, craziest drummer ever. So Keith and Ringo would hang out, and there's Zack as a boy. He's a young kid, and Ringo's giving him drum lessons. Well, it's Zack Starkey's birthday. It's like his 12th birthday or something. And up in front of the house pulls this semi truck, and Keith gets out, and he says, "Happy birthday, Zack." He buys him a drum set, double bass drum, 20 tom-toms, a gong.
Yeah.
And after that, Zack Starkey idolized Keith Moon.
Yes.
If you watch him play with The Who, you'd be like, oh my God. And that's the backstory, is that he loved Keith so much. It was basically like his father, besides Ringo. It was like,
Oh my God. That's like breaking my heart to hear that. Oh my God.
isn't that cool? Look at him.
Oh my God. Yes. I totally can see that now. Like I can see the influence of Keith Moon, because Keith Moon was one of my favorites too growing up. And I can totally see the influence there.
Yeah.
So cool.
That's
so
the story.
cool, man.
That's the story anyway.
That is such a cool story, man. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. We should get Zack on this show. Dan, get on it.
Yeah. Yeah, Dan.
Come on, Dan.
He's
Do
a
your
good
job.
dude. He's a really cool, amazing drummer in his own right. And to step out of your a lot of drummers or kids that grow up with famous parents, then there's a lot of them out there. Jason Bonham is another one that's, lived in the spotlight or the not the shadow, but it's Jason Bonham's son, right?
Of course, yeah.
Right.
But in his own right, he's become an amazing drummer and he's had an amazing career. And Zack, same thing. There's a lot of, famous kids, right?
I saw him play with Hagar. He's playing with Hagar along with Michael Anthony too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I got offered to be in Chickenfoot, and I said, Sammy, I can't do it. He's like, why? He goes, I hate the name.
Oh, but the band is fucking incredible.
I could totally see you rocking next to
I go,
Zack.
right now, right now, my tombstone looks pretty good. It's like, the cult.
Okay,
Guns
that was
N' Roses, Velvet Revolver, Chickenfoot.
right? Well, that was going to be one of the questions I had for you though. Was the other time that I got to see you play was with Camp Freddie at the Roxy, like years and years and years ago. It was you and
That's a goofy name too.
yeah, it is. Yeah, see, like okay, so yeah, you're fine with Camp Freddie. No, but I saw and Chad Smith actually came up and played with you. So are you tight with Chad too?
Yeah, it was Chad's birthday yesterday. Did you know
Oh
that?
shit, that's right. It was Chad. Happy birthday, Chad! If you're watching,
Happy birthday,
I'm
Chad.
sure you're watching
Is
because
it
you got
Chad's
nothing else
birthday
going on.
or Will Ferrell's? I'm not sure about that.
Oh, no.
Chad's an amazing drummer, man.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, another great
He's
legend.
off the chain. He's like a guy that just doesn't give a shit. He just goes
Such a
for it.
beast, man. That's
Like,
so cool.
I tell a lot of musicians, don't think so hard. Just get up there and go for
Right.
it.
Matt, when you were growing up, who was kind of your inspiration or your idol? Is it
All those guys. Keith.
Ringo?
Yeah, Ringo was the reason I became a drummer because,
I mean, how trippy was that for you? I mean, were you tripped out the first time you met him?
yeah, you know what I said to him? I said, Mr. Starkey, I said, you're the best. He said, no, you're the best.
Oh,
I'm the greatest. He said, you're the best. I'm the greatest. And I went,
oh shit.
yeah, you are.
Yeah.
And then I said, I became a drummer because of you. And he said, I hear that all the time.
That's right. When we grew up, we watched
I
Beatles.
became a successful drummer because of you. That's a big difference.
Ah, there you go.
There you
It's
go.
really funny because, you know, we all meet lots of people, but you meet a Beatle, that's like DEFCON level 5. That's a whole other animal.
Yeah.
Can't-
Yeah,
Oh
that'd be-
man.
No,
Yeah.
and it's crazy, Matt,
Pretty
because
killer.
your career, like most people are lucky to get one,
Yeah.
like, record deal.
Yeah.
And you've had a million.
Well, I tell people that, you get a record deal and you tell you call your mom or whatever. You're like, Mom, I made it. And you're like, I had many record deals before I was successful, though. I had a lot of, I got a book coming out next April, but
That's right.
at the beginning of my journey in Hollywood, in those days, you would get a record deal and they used to do a thing called shelve it. So you would make a record and the label would like shelve the record. So that happened to me 3 times before I got in. And that's why I left I was always starting bands, and putting bands together. And then I just got so frustrated. I was coming up on about 28 years old. And in those days, 28 was old for a rock and roller.
Oh yeah.
I would look at like 28-year-old guy, like if they didn't die when they were 27, they made it to 28. You're like, that guy's old.
They skipped the 27 club.
So
Yeah,
and all my friends were making it, Randy Castillo had gotten in Ozzy's band, a bunch of my friends. He was a really good buddy of mine.
Oh
and,
yeah.
And I started getting kind of worried. And then I heard about this band, The Cult, looking for a drummer. And I jumped on that. And that's the rest is history. But I had a lot of letdowns early on because I got a record deal, but then I didn't sell any records and the record got dropped.
Right.
And then, so I'll hear people say, hey, I got signed to such and such a label and I'm going to go out and it's going to be amazing. I go, I hope it works out. That's all I hope for you and nowadays I don't even know what to say to young artists anymore. I mean, I don't even know what to say.
I think there's a couple things. I think that first of all, people think that when you get signed, that means that you've made it. It's going to be limos and champagne and parties. Like no, that when you get signed to a record label, that's when the work really begins. And a lot of bands may take into account the amount of work that goes into it. A lot of bands don't take into account the time it takes to get anywhere in this business.
Yeah.
Like an overnight success takes about 10 years on average.
But there was the days in when I was coming up and we used to be able to buy tape, right? Because we played most of the Guns N' Roses records we record on tape. Right. And you used to be able to do shit like you could call the front desk and go, I need another roll of tape. Wink, wink. And they'd bring in a gram of cocaine. You're like,
hey, there you go.
Rock and roll.
You just put that would go back to the record company as the budget. Right. Yep. And you'd have they go, you guys use 200 rolls of tape on the album.
Oh my God.
You're like, well, yeah, it's going to be epic. It's
that's the hip hop world is now.
That is.
Well, yeah. In those days, money was no object. There was $1 million record deals.
Oh yeah. You would get rich just off signing the deal in the 80s and 90s.
Exactly. Yeah. And then, you hear about the deals now and you're like, oh my God, it's like, how do you do that?
No, when we got signed, it was kind of early 2000s, and it was around the dawn of the piracy and illegal download or whatever, the free downloading. When music became a free commodity, and we just kind of got lumped into that whole era of 360 deals, where they're like, oh, actually, we're going to take everything now, and we were at the position where it was like, well, it's either we do that or we don't do a record deals, and then so it took a long time, but if you stick with it, if you keep at it, eventually it'll pay off.
Well, and the same thing goes. I'm into the new model. I understand that budgets aren't as big. So for instance, I'm doing this record with Billy Gibbons. We have our second record coming out on Concord, which is a pretty decent label, but the budgets are like the hummus dip back in the days.
Exactly.
It's like I spent more on sushi, it's like, but anyway, so Billy says, oh, well, we're going to make the record. We'll probably put out some lyric videos. So I go, you know this, Dan. I mean, the budget, so I said, no, Billy, we're going to make a bunch of videos and we're going to do them for the price less than the hummus dip. I said,
Yeah, right.
so go check out Hollywood 151. We made it for $800.
Oh, wow.
We did it with 4 GoPros, 4K, and whatever, a black magic.
Nice.
And it kind of is what it is, but it looks cool. For me, it's like I was there when we did November Rain, and it was
that's the standard. That's
I would look at
music video. That's a film.
$1.5 million budget, and I go, "What's that guy do?" And it'd be like, "Oh, he moved that one light." It was like there was thousands of people, and the budget was like, $1.5 million for a video, right? And now it's like, "Hey, Billy, we just made a video for $800. What do you think?" And you can do that now. You can, and I say to young artists, I said, and Dan knows this, and you guys all know this. It's all about content, putting your stuff up and getting found, right?
Yeah, right.
So
I feel bad for a lot of bands.
We made 4 videos for the new album in the desert, and I directed. I just learned from Dan, so I'm like, let's get it for free.
Yeah.
Nice.
Like, we called in favors.
Right.
We I pled poverty. They go, but it's Billy Gibbons and you're Matt. And I go, it's an independent record deal.
These are unprecedented times.
We're indie, man.
No,
right?
Matt, it's so insane, like the amount of stories that you have. And like, so normally we do all these segments on the show. And this week we were like, nope, fuck it. Threw them all out. Cause we're like, we just want to hear the stories. And you have done such an incredible job of entertaining. Our viewers are going crazy in the comments, like reacting to all the stories that you're telling.
I love you, man.
You've got quite the damn career. And that's not many people can say
I
that.
haven't had this shirt on in a while, so thanks.
Well, that's a
Good
great
looking shirt there, buddy. Good.
No, you know what? I find that hard to believe because Matt always dresses nice, man. If you catch him they'll go to a coffee shop.
I have a picture of him with the robe on.
Look at this picture of me with a robe on. B-Rock, show Dan. Show Dan the picture of me.
Dan, can you show that again? You tell me you dressed up.
No, I don't have it. I already erased it off the thing, but shit.
Oh, you evil. No, I'm kidding.
Thank you for erasing it, because remember this, people.
Emmy award-winning producer.
Oh, I have it. I have it.
to approve some of my stuff now, because once it goes into the digital domain, you're done.
It's
There it is.
everywhere. And then you're going to get Toobined.
It's there for life. It's there for life.
On a funny note with Matt, so I first met Matt, believe it or not, I worked on the Guns N' Roses Metallica tour in '92. And that tour was just insane. But Matt was like, holy shit, like untouchable rock star, like the type of guy that when he would walk down the hall, I'd go to the other side of the hallway. Everybody would get out of the way because Guns N' Roses were gods back then. And so the funniest thing is now, like 25 years later, there's a period of time where, I was living in Orange County and I rented with Sully from Godsmack. I had an apartment at Matt's on the bottom floor of that house he bought from Andy Dick. And I remember the first morning I woke up in the house and I smelled bacon and stuff. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I get up and there's Matt in the kitchen in a bathrobe cooking for me. And then as I get up, I look at him and he hands me fresh towels. And I'm thinking, man, 25 fucking years ago, if you would have told me that I'd be living in your fucking house and you'd be cooking me bacon in your bathrobe and handing me towels, I told you fucking
I like hosting.
Matt, you should have a bed and breakfast, Matt, because you are so on it with the hospitality.
Well, funny story is Sebastian Bach, my old pal, because Skip Rope, I call him Skip Rope. They were Skid Row, but during the Guns. Yeah, I got you, RJ.
You should have your own comedy podcast here.
Thanks, man. I'm working on that with Dan Catula. That's why we're
here. There you go. Yeah, he's doing everybody now. All the drummers.
Here we go.
Fuck, Dan, I thought you were exclusive to us.
So Sebastian, we go way back. So during the Guns N' Roses era of Use Your Illusion, Skid Row opened for us for almost a year, right? And so Sebastian comes to LA and he calls me up and he's like, Matt, hey, can I come stay at your house? I go, man, didn't Monkey Business or one of those songs? What was that? That album you guys did that went platinum? You can't afford to get a hotel. It's like, no. So I go, no, man, come over. I didn't say any of that. I said, well, you're welcome to come over. You can stay in my guest room. Well, he'd wake up to breakfast in bed. I'd make him an omelet with like some salsa, maybe slice slice some avocado with a little bit of truffle olive oil on there.
Ah,
Maybe back it up with some nice sourdough English muffins, with a side of cream cheese,
Seriously, Matt
fresh
Sorum,
squeezed orange juice, and not just coffee, but French press, right? And
So when we go to LA, I'm staying at Matt's. Matt,
oh, come on.
a rock and roll breakfast, you'd kill it.
I bring in the tray, and there's Sebastian. He's like, Matt, thanks, man. And long story short, he was going to stay with me for 3 days. Well, we're into week 3, and he hasn't left yet.
Of course
And
not.
my wife, she says to me, I thought he was only staying for 3 days. And I said, well, I love Sebastian. She goes, you guys are just telling stories every night, and I'm done. And I'm like, well, come on, babe. She's like, no more sex. You're cut off. He's out.
Oh no!
and that is pussy control.
To show what a nice
Yeah.
format is, the other side of that story is on that same day, I had my daughter and my wife stayed up there. My daughter was just a baby, and she got really sick, and Bella threw up in the bed. All right. And I had to take her to Cedars because she had like 104 fever. Well, guess who cleaned up the barf and cleaned up the sheets? Matt did.
Yay!
Oh, good guy right there.
Well, Matt,
So
you need
anyway,
to finish.
My wife says, that's it. So I text Sebastian. I'm like, he's in the other room, and I'm texting. Have you ever texted somebody that's just
all the time?
I'm like, Baz, gotta pack it up, gotta go.
Ah, no!
And he texts me back, come on, dude.
Like, come on, babe. He's like, come on, dude. You're in the middle there.
Cut me off.
You should have made him go out back in your studio every day and at least do music for you. And you should have wrote while he was there.
Well, he was just, we were just bullshitting around for like 3 weeks. Time just got away from us because, when we get together from the old days and those kind of guys that we used to roll hard with, it was like, the stories just keep coming. Yeah. That could be. And then anyway, he the funniest story is I had a little white French bulldog, and I had this little dog named Lola, and Sebastian had these Kiss shorts on. He was wearing like Kiss. He loves Kiss. So we walked down the street. Like, can you imagine me with the French bulldog, and there's Sebastian wearing, and we walk around the corner, and Sebastian's like, I think I'm going to rent a house. I go, where? He goes, around the corner. So let's go look at it. I'm like, okay.
Oh.
So we walk around the corner, and we walk up to this lady's house, and she sees the two of us, and she thought we were lovers.
Oh my God.
Were you?
It's so cool. You two are going to move in together, and I love your dog. And she thought
she caught in a bad bromance, man. There you go.
You have to be there for the visual, but it was me. It was like, I'm like,
probably in matching bathrobes. I mean, that's cute.
I mean, truthfully, I do love the guy. I do.
Yeah. I mean, I've met the guy many times. He's awesome, and I can tell you guys would be a cute couple. I think, right?
Well, there's, when you say the word man love, I mean, I get it. Me and Billy Gibbons have become really close, and
man love,
and I love the guy. It's like, I remember when I first got on the phone with him, I was like freaked out. I was like the fan kid, Now he'll call. We'll do 2-hour calls, right? We'll just talk like girls, And I'm sorry, Ava, I don't know if that's not a bad thing.
No, it's not.
It's not a bad
thing. It's a positive thing. It's a good thing.
Yeah, well, girls are more emotional. They're deeper. They're like, they talk, about like real stuff. Guys are like, hey, dude, what are we going to, it's like, so we're talking like deep conversation. And but now when he calls, I'll see Billy Gibbons show up on my phone. I go, I better have 2 hours to kill. You know what I mean? I got to going in, you know what I mean? And same thing when I get together with like Lars or Sebastian or some of those guys. And we just go, blah, blah, blah,
When is your book coming out?
It's going to be out middle of April now.
Oh, so nice, man.
Cool.
Now I'm going to act as a manager to you. I'm not going to let you talk anymore because you have to save something for the book because we're going to help sell that book for you. Right. I imagine your book is going to be this thick with every story you have. It's got.
Oh my God!
What is it about?
I believe Dan's going to get us all autographed copies too.
It's
so
just my story. I came to Hollywood in the late 70s. I started playing in Hollywood in the mid 70s.
Wow.
And I grew up in California, so I was always around California rock and roll. When I came to the Sunset Strip, it was the heyday. It was before all the Motley Crue.
Let's talk about real quick the Sunset Strip. When you watched the movie The Dirt, forget about the bad acting, but how legitimate was that?
MGK was great. Come on.
Was it?
I was there when that happened, so it was for me. It was like watching a comedy show. It was like it wasn't anywhere as bad as it really was. It was like that was like G-rated. It was
crazy.
But, we did all that, but the 70s era. So I talk about this when Eddie Van Halen passed away, because I used to play in a club when I was 14. I'm going to be 60 next month.
What?
So I was 14.
Whatever you're doing, keep doing.
Thanks. I'm off the hard shit for you kids out there. Just and drink alkaline water.
Alkaline water, yeah.
Yeah. And so anyway, I started playing this club called Gazzari's Crazy Horse West, which was on the Strip. And it was up the street from the Whiskey and the Roxy. So there was a band there called Mammoth. There was 4 stages. And I was 14. I used to sneak. There was all ages, so you could come in there at any age.
Oh, yeah.
I used to go upstairs and play. And the band Mammoth was Eddie. It was before Michael Anthony, before David Lee Roth. And it had Alan. Yeah. And then around 75, I was still playing there, and David Lee Roth had joined, and Michael Anthony joined, right? Oh, sure. And we would play there. They would play there 5 nights a week, and I would play my set. And then there was another band called Mickey Rat, which was the early version of Rat. They played there too.
Holy shit!
So I would watch Eddie Van Halen every night, going, "Oh my God, these guys are insane."
That's crazy.
And I wrote this on my Facebook blog about how important Van Halen were to rock and roll from LA, because if you remember, most bands that were famous in those days were British rock and roll bands. Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, Black Sabbath, all the greats came from England. Well, when Van Halen got signed to Warner Brothers in 78, all the rest of us were like, oh my God, if they can do it, we can do it. Even though
they were kind of the pioneers of that sound at that time.
They were so badass. And if you read about Van Halen, that because it kind of wasn't something that the label wanted, and they broke through, but they had to work really hard at it, and the rest is history. But so I was there around that time, and I remember when Eddie passed,
right?
It was great. It was really heavy because I was feeling that era, that time that I was a kid coming up in Hollywood. And it was a really important band, like more important than people know. And that was kind of the part of the book. I go through all my childhood stuff, then I come up to LA and get some breaks, get some kicks around. I get kicked around a bit. All that trials and tribulations of rock and roll and the business and stuff.
So Matt, does your book have a title?
Yeah, I named it after a Guns N' Roses song, Double Talk and Jive.
Oh, nice.
Awesome. So
I would say the reason it's that title, a lot of people don't understand if they're not a fan of the band. But Izzy Stradlin wrote that song. We wrote it. We played it together on the album. Me and Izzy tracked that in one take. And it was the premise of the lyric was based around the kind of pitfalls of the music business and success and the people that the managers, and Dan knows what I'm talking about. It's like, and probably RJ. There's this back undercurrent that's not pretty,
Oh yeah, yeah.
So when I and I talk very truthfully about things that I went through from my perspective, right. And I really I didn't want to come off jaded. I'd have to tell the story the way it went for me, and I hope that people don't take it as I sound jaded or something. But I just wanted to be as truthful and honest as possible from my perspective, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely.
I think new artists need to hear that really blunt, honest perspective, and they need to be very prepared if they choose to, pursue a career in music.
Well, I mean, as we know, any kind of thing that I think there's a misconception that maybe as musicians we're we're a bit elitist or privileged, or
no way.
Things are like handed to us, or we just automatically appear, and now all of a sudden we're famous, and
they're only seeing the tip of the iceberg. They're not seeing the years and years and years of ass grinding work that went to get to even remotely close to that point.
Yeah, that's right. So I just look at it. I'm like, well, yeah, I have a great job. I've had a great life. I'm super grateful for all the things I've been able to do. But in the book, you can see that it was a lot of hard work. It was a lot of, bruises along the way, and and then as the career goes and you get successful, stuff happens, and there's of course the famous drugs and alcohol shit that is kind of like behind the music, VH1. I mean, that all happens to me. It's like the pitfalls of rock and roll stardom and all that shit. I mean, it's kind of like, for me, it was like when I was doing it and when I was at the height, I'm like, if I don't do this now, I'll regret it later.
Oh, absolutely.
So I just kind of live my life as I thought I would want to live it as a kid, dreaming of being in a rock and roll band.
Hell yeah, dude. That is so cool.
Awesome.
I can't wait to read your book.
Matt, thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on.
I'm gonna have many.
I can't wait to read your book. If your stories in your book are half as amazing as the stories that you told us tonight, it's going to be an amazing read. I just got to say, Drumming a Drummer, man, mad respect. You're one of my favorites. And I think everyone out there listening needs to check out your book, because like I said, like if I'm sure that the stories that you told us tonight are just a drop in the bucket of some that you have in the book.
Yes.
So I can't wait to read
And the book
that,
comes out in April. Be on the lookout for it. Matt Sorum's book.
Awesome.
Thank
you, Matt.
Dude, Matt, thank you so much for spending so much time with us tonight, man. Thank you for being on our show. You're welcome back anytime, brother.
Yes, anytime. It was a pleasure.
Well, when Dan Catullo calls,
I said the same thing. He called me for this gig, and I said yes. That you always say yes to Dan.
Yeah, do me a favor. Go to your cell phone and your Rolodex and tell everybody when Dan Catullo calls, please pick up the phone. That'd be fantastic.
There you go.
Yep, and also be sure and tell them about everyone in the Rolodex about Stop, Drop, and Talk. All that stuff.
I had to remember if I owed him money or not, and I'm like,
I might owe you money. I don't know.
Yeah, he owes you something.
Matt, we hope to see you soon, man. I hope you come on again. It was a blast.
Man. Good luck with the book release, man. That's so cool, and thank you so much again, man. You're a legend.
Matt, give my best to Ace. I miss you guys. I want to see you guys soon. Okay.
All right.
Love you
see
guys.
you later, Matt.
Thank you so
Matt
much, Matt.
Sorum,
Thank you.
everybody. For the legendary Guns N' Roses, Velvet Revolver, all the
was
kids.
awesome.
There's so much. Oh my God.
Is quite possibly one of my favorite episodes because the stories that man told were insane.
Oh, he's got some stories.
You know what?
Yeah.
We went
Amazing.
way over our time tonight, but honestly, like, we make the rules. We don't care. We make this up as we go along. His stories were so good. I really didn't want to stop him, and I didn't even want to do a game segment just because his stories were just incredible. I could listen to that guy.
Dan had to kind of turn the camera there for a minute because I had to go frickin' pee.
Yay!
I had to run off and go pee. So.
I still haven't eaten dinner, but it is worth it to sit there and listen to Matt
Oh,
Sorum.
yeah, that was
stories.
I was
like, I'll starve. I don't even care. Keep talking.
You want to hear something cool that I just kind of figured out as we were talking to Matt, is that this entire second season, we've had a lot of rhythm section people on the show. Like we had John Cooper's a bass player. We had the rhythm section of Like a Storm. We had LP from Yellow Card and New Year's Day. We also had Johnny Christ, and now we had Matt Sorum. It's like it's been a really cool kind of throw to the other members of these legendary bands. Kind of give them a little chance to show some face.
Oh,
so
RJ,
cool.
I know what shirt I'm wearing next week.
What's that?
I have a shirt that says "I love drummers."
Woo! There we go.
Why?
I should give you one of those. There you go. One of those. How about that? Or this one.
There we go.
All right. Well, let's give these
on a high note.
Yes, let's give these viewers a break. You guys have been incredible. Thank you for hanging out with us for this long. Your comments have been amazing. Let's wrap this thing up on a high note. Let's do it.
Good.
And this week for our high note segment, which by the way we should just change the name to RJ's Psychology Hour, because that's what's
We're gonna have another hour.
No. I'm just saying. Like, I went down one of my psychological nerd research rabbit holes, and I discovered another interesting human trait that I believe warrants some discussion right now, especially in our day and age. A lot's going on. It's an election year. It's like right around the corner. Voting is happening right now. So if you haven't voted yet, make sure you get out and vote, because everybody needs to do that. That's the only way that we can keep our democracy strong, is if we all do our civic duty and our right. And it's your right to do it. So go out and do it, and let's make a change. Let's keep on making changes for the better. And so that being said, something that I started researching this week that I found was very interesting was a little thing I found out called moral conviction, which now is more moral combat. You know what I mean? Get over here. Now that's what it is anyway, but it's really not that bad. This is generally a positive thing, but I think that this is just something for us to be aware of right now, because right now, I mean, it's so obvious that we're in a very polarized world right now. It's very, everyone's got very, very different opinions on things, and the common ground is getting thinner and thinner, and everyone keeps pushing left and right. So this is what I found out about strong moral convictions. They're kind of a double-edged sword. What do you think about it? They can be a great thing, and they can also be dangerous sometimes when we see them as a test, not only in terms of policy, but as a test of our moral principles. Or another way of putting it, we're not just debating, say, for instance, climate change, gun rights, women reproductive rights, LGBTQ rights, immigration, but we're actually debating what we fundamentally believe is right or wrong, and its effects on democracy. So one bad effect of this is when you're so rooted in your strong moral convictions, you'll go about any way to see it done, basically the ends justifying the means. So to be fair, like, you could make the argument that, for example, right now, like, Mitch McConnell is not just strong-arming Washington into appointing their pick for the Supreme Court during an election year, something he staunchly objected during the Obama era. Or you could just say, on the other side, you could say that he's so bound to his values, he'll go by any means necessary to pursue what he feels is objectively right in his eyes. Whether you believe his decisions are right or wrong fully depend on your ideals, obviously. So those are strong moral convictions. See, basically, if you're a person with strong moral convictions, let's say that, you see your view as unarguably true, as simple as 1 + 1 = 2, basically. Of course, you're saying, like, of course it's correct. It makes the most sense to me. But the problem is you're not seeing the big picture, as if you're seeing, you're seeing an entire puzzle, but you're really only looking at one piece. So one pattern most social scientists see with strong moral convictions in a democracy, and it's pretty obvious. If decisions are made that follow their objective values, they feel the system is strong and trustworthy. But if they decide against their personal ideals, they feel like the system is rigged. There are always going to be multiple views for every issue, and it's important that we be aware of that and make sure that we're widening our scope in our opinions. Now, you might be thinking strong moral convictions are a bad thing, and sometimes they are, but good examples of this are also woven into our history. For instance, drunk driving laws, child protection services, abolition of slavery, women's right to vote, Black Americans' right to vote, taking action against police brutality, fighting for better immigration reform, trying to reduce the wealth gap, all things like that. These are all examples of positive changes made in our society by people of strong moral conviction. And honestly, personally, I wouldn't want to live in a world without them. But the way we move forward is by making sure we put in the effort into communicating with those who disagree with us fundamentally. In our polarized world that we live in now, it's getting harder and harder to find common ground. Many feel that compromise is synonymous with being weak. And when that's the way, and I mean, I don't know, like, when that's the way, it's just been, it's been hard for us to keep moving forward. And I think the only way that we can keep moving forward, there has to be compromise in many things. And there's nothing wrong with having decision makers who choose to listen to both sides of an argument to come up to a conclusion. Okay, so although strong moral convictions can cause us to draw lines and bring progress to a halt. It also can encourage the narrative to energize people, to stand up to power and shout for justice and equality. So in my conclusion, after doing my research, I say keep voicing up for what you feel is right, but don't hold your ears and run away from the conversation with your neighbor who disagrees with you. Don't try to own him or shut him down. Talk to him or her. Because if we all believe in this idea of democracy, that's what it takes. It's a beautiful thing. Think about it. It is truly a miracle that we don't have to accept blind obedience and we get to fight and argue and protest and criticize our system when we engage with each other to try to see eye to eye, explain your worldviews in a way that they can understand so we can find our common interests. And we all we have to find the common interests that we all believe are morally just. And that's where we make progress. So chew on that this week, America. Have a happy Halloween. Everybody go out and vote. And we'll see you guys next week. And that's about it for this week. So thank you guys for hanging out with us. Thank you, Eva Steele. Thank you, B-Rock. Thank you, Dan Catullo, Matt Sorum, and everybody watching and hanging in there with us. Go out and vote. Here on
Stop, Drop, and Talk.
Well, don't vote here, vote there. But watch us next week. Goodbye.
Have a good one, guys. Good to see you
Goodbye.
all.
Stop, Drop, and Talk.